I still remember the tiny red light that blew up my whole life. I was wiping down the shelves in my billionaire boss's home office, same as every evening when I noticed a faint blink behind a sailboat painting. At first, I thought it was just a reflection. Then I stepped closer, pretended to adjust the frame, and saw the pinhole lens. Old habits kicked in. I pulled out my phone, opened a cheap scanner app I'd kept since the days I was checking my own crappy apartment for landlord upgrades, and watched an active signal pop up that did not belong to the house system. Before my brain could tell me to shut up and keep my head down, my mouth said, "Mr. Cross, be careful, someone planted a hidden camera in here." The room went still. Julian Cross, tech billionaire and cybersecurity poster boy, turned from his desk and stared at me like his computer had just spoken. "What did you say, Naomi?" he asked. I was the new black maid in the gray uniform, 3 weeks on the job, supposed to be polite and invisible. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed steady. "There's a camera behind that painting," I said. "I scanned it. It's transmitting. It's not one of yours." He looked at the wall, then at my phone, then at me. "And why, he asked slowly, "would my maid have a scanner app on her phone?" You know that feeling when someone is deciding whether you're smart or a problem? I swallowed. Because where I grew up, I told him cameras didn't show up as security, they showed up as leverage. You learn to look if you want to stay safe. Before he could respond, I heard quick heels in the hallway, and that dramatic gasp I recognized from TV. "Oh my God! Julian, what is going on?" His fiancée, Alicia Ward, stepped into the doorway, already in performance mode. Her eyes bounced from him to me to the painting. "Naomi, what are you doing in his office after hours?" she whispered. "Ma'am, I was cleaning," I said. "I told him someone hid a camera." "You told him," she repeated, voice cracking. Then she turned to Julian. "I've been trying not to say anything, but she's been watching me popping up when I'm on calls, coming into the guest room without permission. I didn't want to seem paranoid, but now she's accusing me of spying on you in our own home. I'm scared." By then, staff had started drifting past the door, slowing just enough to listen. I heard the small comments float in from the hallway. "She is always lurking. I never liked how she looks at people. About me like I was a rumor instead of a person." My face burned. "That's not true," I said, trying to hold my voice steady. "I went in the guest room to clean. You asked for makeup. I put it away. That's it. I found a camera in here, that's all I told him." Alicia spun on me like I'd spit in her drink. "You were in our bedroom wing last night." She snapped, eyes shining with just the right amount of fear. "I've done stories on this. This is how blackmail starts. They plant something, then pretend they're helping you find it." She moved closer to Julian like she needed him to protect her from me. Why would she suddenly spot a camera unless she put it there? Julian's jaw clenched as he looked at me. "Naomi, why would Alicia need to spy on me?" he asked. I shook my head. "I don't know, sir," I said. "I just know there is a camera and it doesn't belong to you." That should have been the cue for all of us to walk over to the wall together. Instead, Alicia whispered, "You're lying," then threw it at me louder, and before I could get another word out, her hand whipped across my face. The slap cracked through that office. My head snapped to the side, my cheek stung. Someone in the hall gasped. I'd been hit before. You learn not to give people the tears they're trying to buy, so I just stood there, eyes burning, jaw locked. Alicia turned back to Julian, voice shaking. "You see," she said, "she's dangerous. She's accusing me of spying on you. Why else would she do this unless she wanted something?" I met his eyes and tried to make him see me, not the uniform, just a woman who could have kept quiet and chose to warn him instead. For half a second, it looked like something in him wavered. Then he let out a hard breath. "Yes," he said, "I believe you, Alicia." Something small and stubborn inside me snapped. He turned on me like a switch. "How dare you accuse my fiancée?" he said. "You've been here 3 weeks, and you're already causing drama. Josephine was right, you crossed boundaries. You should be ashamed of yourself." My eyes filled, but I held the line. "I wasn't lying," I whispered. Alicia gave a little laugh. "Of course you were. It's pathetic." I straightened my shoulders. "The camera is behind the painting," I said quietly. "Whether you believe me or not, it's there." Julian's jaw locked. "You can go," he said. So I did. I walked out past the painting with its tiny red eye still blinking past co-workers who suddenly couldn't meet my gaze back to my small room in the staff wing. I pulled out my suitcase and started folding my life into it, face still on fire, brain repeating the same line. I should have just cleaned around the secrets like everyone else. The next morning, after a night of no sleep and too many what-ifs, there was a knock on my door. I expected the housekeeper. It was Julian in jeans and a worn sweater instead of his usual armor, looking like he hadn't slept either. His eyes went straight to the suitcase on my bed. "You're leaving," he said. "Yes, sir," I answered. He stepped inside, closed the door softly, and for a moment just rubbed his temple like his skull hurt. Then he looked at me. "You were right," he said. "The camera was behind the painting. There were 4 more in the house. None of them are ours." I didn't move. He kept going. "I checked the logs. Your keycard never went anywhere it shouldn't. No weird entries, no late-night access. But Alicia logged into my office network multiple times while I was in Dubai. Miles found unregistered devices in the guest wing tied to a burner she used. It all points to her, not you." He swallowed hard. "I let her hit you. I called you a liar in front of everyone. That was wrong. I'm sorry, Naomi." The apology sounded honest, but apologies don't unbreak bones or trust. "Okay," I said. He frowned. "Okay, that's all. What do you want me to say?" I asked. "That it's all good now." "You asked why she would need to spy on you. Maybe ask why it was easier to believe the maid was blackmailing you than believe your fiancé had secrets." That landed. He sat down in the one chair by the window. "I need your help," he said quietly. "You saw what I missed. I build security for a living, and I didn't see the cameras in my own house. You did. I need to know what Alicia is actually doing and who she's working with. Stay. Not as staff. Stay as someone I trust. Help me fix this. When it's done, if you want to walk, I'll let you walk." I looked at my half-packed suitcase and felt something harden in my chest. I was tired of just surviving around other people's secrets. "I'll stay," I said, "but I'm not doing this for you. I want to see how it ends. And if you want my help, you don't give me orders. You listen." He nodded like a man who suddenly understood he wasn't in charge of everything anymore. That was the first twist. I'd walked into that house as invisible help, and now I was the only person he could actually trust. We started with Alicia's room. Julian kept her busy in the city with wedding meetings, while I walked into her suite with gloves on and a cleaning cart that hid a different agenda. The place looked like an influencer set. Nothing out of place, everything staged. In the drawers, I found prescription bottles under another last name, receipts from private meetings that weren't on the calendar. She showed Julian hotel charges in cities he hadn't visited. In a black pouch behind a stack of silk scarves, I found a warm, powered-off burner phone. On her laptop, behind a folder labeled Press Photos, I found the real story. Encrypted spreadsheets listing dates, locations, audio tags, and a note column full of labels like office, late, boardroom, vote, house, pool, plus one name over and over. M. Stroud, Miles Stroud. Julian's CFO and best friend since college, the man always standing at his right shoulder in old photos, the one the staff called the other boss. I copied everything to a clean drive, put the laptop back exactly how I found it, and handed the drive to Julian. He confronted Miles that night. When he came back, he looked hollow. He admitted it, Julian said. He says he did it to protect the company. They trained an AI model on my voice so they could generate orders, move money, leak a scandal. Let me take the fall, then bring in a rescue buyer. He swears it was only a contingency plan. Says I forced his hand by trusting the wrong people. I couldn't help a small, bitter smile. On that last part, I said, he's not completely wrong. Julian just looked at me and said, I trust you. That was when I realized how deep in I was. We needed witnesses, not just hard drives, so he called a private board meeting. No PR, no extra staff, just the directors who could bury the truth or drag it into the light. The boardroom felt like a courtroom with a better view. Alicia sat near the head of the table in a white blazer, calm and polished. When I walked in behind Julian, half the room barely glanced at me. They know my name now. Julian played 2 audio clips, his real voice rejecting an offshore transfer, and his cloned voice approving it and saying to move money before she starts asking questions. Faces shifted from confusion to alarm. He outlined the hidden cameras and devices. Then it was my turn. I walked them through what I'd found in Alicia's room, how the signals and spreadsheets matched the stolen calls. Finally, he played a poolside recording of Alicia's real voice at night, talking about flipping the voice clone, leaking the Dubai story, letting the feds eat him alive, while a friendly buyer saved the company. The room went quiet. Every head turned to her. She stood up fast. This is manipulated, she said. You're really going to take the word of a maid over mine? I looked at her and said, the original file is still on your laptop on a thumb drive labeled Press Pack. Same timestamp, same device ID. If it's fake, you faked it yourself. That was enough. The audit chair moved to suspend Alicia from any involvement, freeze suspicious transfers, and bring in an outside team to go through Miles's work. The board voted yes. Security walked her out. As she passed Julian, she hissed, "You think this is over, it's not," then gave me a look that promised I hadn't heard the last of her. You'd think that would be the end of it. Fiancée exposed, scheme uncovered, billionaire humbled, Maid vindicated. In the movies, the credits would roll right there. Real life gave us one more act. Miles vanished before investigators could sit him down. Lawyers and auditors swarmed his old office. I traded my gray uniform for a badge that said, Security and Ethics, started sitting in rooms I used to clean, and tried to convince myself the worst was over. Then one morning, Julian walked into my office, pale, and handed me his phone. It was a slick little site, with a heading that made my stomach drop. Who is Naomi Reed, really? Under that was my past. My real name, my sealed juvenile record from Birmingham, the forgery charge from when I faked documents to get out at 16, the petty thefts from nights when I chose food over rent. All the things the court had wiped, laid out like fresh crimes. If this goes public, I told Julian, they'll say you hired an ex-con to run your security. They'll say I conned my way into your life. They'll see my face and my record and say, yeah, that tracks. He didn't even blink. I don't care what they say about me, he said. I care that you think you have to hide who you were. We beat Alicia by telling the truth first. We do the same here. But this time you lead. So we sat in the same library where I used to just dust the shelves, turned on a camera, and told the story straight. He talked about the betrayal and the voice clone. I talked about growing up in neighborhoods where the system never felt like it was on our side, about forging that bus pass to get out, about every bad choice and every survival behind it. I didn't excuse any of it. I owned it. And then I told people what was happening now. That someone who'd already tried to fake his boss's voice was trying to use my past to fake who I was in the present. We posted it. The internet did what it always does. Some people called me trash, a whole lot more said I was Naomi too. While they argued, we followed the trail from that site back to a non-profit front, storing voice models and face data, a little persona vault Miles had set up to build deepfake versions of people he wanted leverage over. Mine was in there practicing confessions to crimes I'd never committed. With law enforcement watching, we pulled everything and dropped it all at once. Contracts, payments, and even Miles's own synthetic voice bragging about fixing reputations with AI. His accounts froze. His network panicked. He slipped out of the country because men like him always seem to know where the side doors are, but he didn't walk away clean. This time his name was attached to the mess he made. And me, I didn't go back to being just the maid. I kept the security job, then moved into work where I sit in rooms with people who build and regulate this tech and tell them in plain English why no one should be able to edit a human being the way you edit a video. Every so often, I still get anonymous messages. A blurry photo, a line like, "This isn't over." These days, I just shrug, hit delete, and go back to work, because the real win isn't catching every villain. It's refusing to let them write your story. So if you stayed with me through all of this, I want to hear from you. In my story, who do you think was more dangerous? The fiancée who weaponized fear and played the victim while she framed the help, or the best friend who hid behind spreadsheets and algorithms while he tried to erase people for profit? Have you ever been judged more by your uniform, your record, or your skin than by who you really are? Tell me in the comments, even if you disagree with me. And if you think voices like mine shouldn't be edited out or deep-faked into something prettier, hit like, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe so we can keep dragging this kind of mess into the light together.